Good afternoon. We're convening the Joint Committees on Transportation and Culture and the Arts and Agriculture and the Environment on our 1:01 p.m. agenda here in State Capitol Conference Room 224. We have 3 measures up this afternoon. We just ask everyone to limit their testimony to make sure we have an opportunity to get to everybody. But we do have a number of folks signed up, so let's dive right in. Up first is House Bill 345, House Draft 2 relating to the state shrimp, which establishes the state shrimp. Testifying first is the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Brian Nielsen on behalf of Department of Land and Natural Resources. We stand on our written testimony in strong support. Mahalo.
Thank you. Signed up to testify next is Kua'aina Ulu Aumo. Good afternoon.
Hi, aloha chairs, vice chairs, committee members. I'm Olane Momi Fisher, advocate with Kua'aina Ulu Aumo, and we're in strong support of HB 345. We helped to bring this bill forward on behalf of some of our Kua community members that help to protect these inkyline pools that house these endemic shrimp. So we think this could be a great vehicle to better protect the shrimp and get more education and awareness going for these animals. Thank you so much for hearing it, and please pass this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's everyone who had signed up to testify. Is there, oh, we did have, oh yeah, that is everyone who had signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Seeing none, are there any questions? Senator Takoi.
Aloha, Senator.
So if we designate the Opai Ulua as the state shrimp, what would the department do to educate the community about the significance of the designation?
So we put out a press release, different education materials. We have a inkyline pool inventory and monitoring program, so we could incorporate some of the science that we're learning from studying these pools, but also happy to work with Kua'aina and other groups that are also supportive of this bill and work in inkyline pool on different outreach materials as well.
So you guys would ask for funding then to do the education and outreach, or is this all gonna be like other people contributing to help educate? I think more of the rural areas get significant impact on, how they get educated, because some have been educated through family lineage and cultural practices. So what begs the difference between how you guys gonna do them and other cultural practitioners?
Yeah, we're not asking for any appropriation for education. We would probably just utilize our existing education programs and partnerships to move this forward.
And that'll be statewide?
Statewide, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next measure or set of measures. Senate Concurrent Resolution 132 and Senate Resolution 111, encouraging the adoption of recommendations from the United Nations Global Plastics Treaty and Rapa Nui Summit Declaration to address climate justice and sustainable development. We'll take the testimony for both of these together. And testifying first online is Greenpeace Hawaii. Good afternoon.
Okay, aloha, good afternoon. Dave Molnix, representing Greenpeace's thousands of supporters and members statewide. Because the worldwide movement to get us off of fossil fuels before the growing climate crisis they are creating makes the world unlivable, the fossil fuel industry has been increasing plastic production to maintain their profit base. As you may have noticed, many products used to be sold in glass are now being sold in plastic containers. The industry is also moving away from large bottles of shampoo to individually prepackaged dispensers for shampoo to dramatically increasing plastic production. By 2050, scientists predict there will be more plastic in the world's ocean than fish. Researchers found that 80% of the population already has microplastics in their bloodstream. Look to your right and to your left. Most of the people sitting in this room already have microplastic pollution in their bloodstream. Microplastic is even showing up in mother's milk, which should be the most pure, nutritious food a human being can consume. But even that is being threatened with plastic pollution. This is a serious problem. We don't really know the extent of what it's going to be doing to is it creating cancers? We have I have clue. And how much can our bodies survive with this amount of plastic in them. So I encourage you to support this. Thank you so much for hearing it and bringing it forward. Have a wonderful day in our beautiful Hawaii name. Aloha.
Thank you very much. That's everyone who had signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on SCR 132 or SR 111? Seeing none, are there any questions?
No more DOH, right? No DOH.
No. DOH did not testify. Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the final set of measures on the agenda. SCR 157 and SR 127, urging the state to adopt the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond natural jurisdiction and support legislative, administrative, and policy measures to implement the agreement at the state and county levels. Do I need to repeat that?
That's good.
Testifying first on these measures is the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Good afternoon again.
I'm actually just read about this resolution for the first time, so I'm not sure if we submitted written testimony. If so, we stand on our written testimony, but I wasn't involved in the leading of that, so apologies.
Yes, we do have that on record.
Okay, Mahalo.
Thank you. That's everyone who had signed up to testify. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in these measures? Seeing none, are there any questions? All right, seeing none. We're going to decision. Sure. Thank you, sir. Okay, why don't we go straight into decision making on these measures, starting at the top of the agenda, House Bill 345, House Draft 2 relating to the state shrimp. Recommendation is to move this forward as is. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, acting vice chair for the vote.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass House Bill 345, House Draft 2, unamended. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair Noy is excused. I vote aye. Senator Kanuha. Aye. Senator Ducourt.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
On matter HB 345, House Draft 2, passing unamended, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Decoit.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes. Senator Alwal. Excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
Thank you, members.
Thank you. Moving on to the next set of measures, Senate Concurrent Resolution 132 and Senate Resolution 111. Recommendation is to pass this with amendments, adopting the recommendation from the Energy Justice Network to change the just the terminology from waste hierarchy to zero waste hierarchy, and then making technical amendments. Any discussion there? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, SCR 132, SR 111 of the 4 members present. Any no votes or votes or reservations? Hearing none, Mr. Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Thank you. On SCR 132 and SR 111, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Decoit.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes. Senator Alwal. Excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then finally, moving on to Senate Concurrent Resolution 157 and SR 127, recommendation to pass as is. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SCR 157, SR 127 unamended of the 4 members present. Any no votes or votes or reservations? Hearing none, Mr. Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Thank you. On SCR 157, SR 127, with members in attendance, are there any no votes? Any with reservation? Chair, motion is adopted.
Thank you, members.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.
Hello, Mike Kako, and good afternoon. Mahalo for joining today's AEN and Higher Ed hearing. It's Monday, March 31st, 2025, and we're convened in room 224 and also video conferencing, which includes the audio and video of remote participants that's being streamed live on YouTube. In an unlikely event that something happens, we have to stop the hearing, the committee will reconvene on Wednesday, April 2nd at 1:01 p.m. During AEN's time slot, and the public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. And because of our 90-minute time limit for hearings, there'll be a 2-minute time limit for all testifiers. Okay, so we are on SCR 89 and SR 72, requesting the Department of Agriculture to convene a working group to develop a plan to create an educational pathway in the University of Hawaii Community College system to equip interested students with the necessary entry-level knowledge, skill set, expertise, and advancement potential in the field of meat processing. First up, and we'll take both measures together, with the Department of Agriculture.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Cedric Gates here on behalf of the Department of Agriculture. The department supports the intent of this measure and offers comments. I would also like to mention that Chair Hurd just met with Chancellor for Leeward Community College to discuss creating a better pipeline for our workforce with DOA to fill our vacancies. So we're looking forward to expanding that, and I think this effort we'll continue that effort as well. Thank you.
That's great news. Thank you, Cedric. Good. Next is Brian Miyamoto from Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau is down on this written testimony in support.
Thank you, Brian. Nicole Galassi from the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council on Zoom.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Nicole Galassi on behalf of the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council, we are in support of this measure because meat processing is a key part of the local protein supply chain. In order to increase access to local beef and address the increasing invasive deer issue, we need skilled butchers. We also need to recognize that the art of meat butchers is a respected career, one that ensures that we can reduce food waste, we can get local protein from pasture to plate safely. We appreciate your support of this resolution. Mahalo.
Thank you, Nicole. Anyone else wishing to, either on Zoom or in person, wishing to testify on these measures? Members, are there any questions?
Questions, I guess, DOA.
Good afternoon, Chair.
How many jobs or careers for meat processing, field of meat processing, do we anticipate?
Right now, I don't have that answer, but I can definitely get back to you.
Okay, stay there. And so with the individual that was on Zoom, Nicole? So Nicole, how do we get our butchers or whoever, workforce that we need in this field? How do we get them now?
How do we get them now?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we are looking for folks who are willing to put in the time and make it to the places where the meat processing facilities are. Currently, one of our largest facilities is in Kalailoa. The second largest facility is in Pau'ilo. Pau'ilo is, as you know, out on the Hamakua coast, so they need to be able to find a place to live in order to be able to make that living as a meat processor.
Understand, but what kind of education do they need at this point?
I actually need to get back to you on that. I'm not sure what the requirements are right now, but on the line, they can be taught to do one certain cut to be able to be part of the line. But in our smaller facilities, our meat processors are actually expected to do a lot more. In larger facilities like on the continent, there's one person who does the same cut over and over and over again. But in our smaller facilities, they need to be expected to do more, have more expertise in being able to break down the carcass.
Okay.
And that training can be done on the job, but we want to be able to have people who are trained and know they want to be in this field and advance their career, so that these are people who we know are committed to the art of butchery and will stay there for the long term.
Understand. Do we have anybody from University of Hawaii? Okay, so we don't even have, according to your folks' testimony, that there isn't no meat inspection agreement right now?
Right now, the department is in the process of establishing meat inspectors within reorganizing our organization and redescribing some positions. But we are also working with USDA Food Safety to beef up our, pun intended, beef up our capabilities to bring on meat inspectors.
Okay, so you'll get us information as to how many actual
Yes,
jobs we're anticipating?
I can definitely get that back to you,
Okay,
Senator.
Thank you.
No problem.
Question.
The lady that was on the screen, sorry, I didn't get her name.
Nicole?
Nicole.
Yes, Senator.
Yeah, so even if, so far as I know, the one in Kalailoa, they have no, some of them don't even have diploma or have no education background. But the plant is willing to teach them. But the thing is, what we gotta put out there is that it's not a glamorous job. Nobody really wants to do this work. You gotta be a selective few that's willing to stay there for the long haul, because a lot of them get the good intentions. But again, that's the thing that we gotta let people know. We don't have enough areas for these guys to get jobs, and the only ones they probably gonna get jobs if they're gonna do like Costco's, Foodland, Times, and some of them is union jobs, right? I mean, a meat packers union, but the one you guys talking about is gonna be difficult because it's not a very glamorous job.
You're
Thank you.
exactly right, Senator. And that's kind of the reason we want to make sure we have this pathway, because like I said earlier, people should understand that as a butcher, they are an important part of our society. We cannot have local protein without butchers. And with these types of workers, we're actually competing with construction, with folks who would instead work in the hotel industry. So if we have a formal pathway, I think we can get the people who are of the right mind that you're talking about, who are going to be committed to it. Thank you.
Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, just offer a few comments from my colleagues. There is I guess I'll call it, Nicole, you can jump in on this as well, a pilot project we just worked on with the Hawaii Community College, Big Island. I think we just graduated 11 butchers. Again, building towards that. When I was in school, some of the education that revolved around the meat sciences was anatomy as well as understanding what we're trying to get done. So, and it's not such a high level that it's a doctorate. It's to get an understanding of what you're trying to accomplish and what the different muscle masses do, and thereby how you need to treat them. And so it's to give you an overview. And as Nicole pointed out, in our smaller plants, on the large plants, you have someone that does one job repeatedly, literally hundreds, if not thousands of times. What we're looking for is overall, and it would serve well into our processing plants, as mentioned there, but also into our fine restaurants, the grocery stores, and the supply chains, because that's it's an art, and it truly is an art that has fallen out of favor. And I don't disagree. We got to be upfront with them. But if we introduce this and have a pathway, we can supply, because there is a need, and it's not just locally, it's nationwide. It's a problem.
So is there a degree now? You just mentioned some kind of a degree.
I don't think it's a actual degree. It's not a 2-year degree per se. It's a education track to help at the community college level to educate them so they come out with a certain level of skill. On-the-job training is exceedingly important, and I think it's to give them the bare bones to get an understanding of what they're getting into, and then they go on the job training after that. That's the direction we're headed. Nicole, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would like to add that a benefit of this is going to be that when a processor is taught in the proper way, that actually increases the quality of our beef. At every step in the process, There's ways where you can improve the quality or retain the quality of the beef or degrade the quality of the beef. So overall, it's going to be better for our economy as well as for our consumers. Thank you.
Questions?
So, DOA, please. So Cedric,
Senator?
do we actually need this to create butchers? Only because, and no offense, my friend, only because, is there a butcher degree?
So I would defer to UH regarding the curriculum.
Dana, yeah.
I know.
So the reason why I asked that is because, as you and I know, we kill a lot of stuff. And we learn how to do butchery and so forth. So those that are in the butchery area, you know, they come on as on-the-job training. At the end of the day, how many slaughterhouses do we have across the state of Hawaii?
Right now, off the top of my head, I'm a Oahu boy, so I want to say the 2 on Oahu. 2 on Oahu, and then I'm pretty sure
Big Island got 2,
2,
3.
3.
Maui, we get 2. So if we do have a pathway, how many butchers will be enough butchers? You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I know
Because
what you're
then,
saying,
if
trying
we
to
do that,
plan out.
Which I have no problem with, supporting that industry. It's how many butchers do you get into a slaughterhouse? I mean, I can see the guy that's shooting, he's the kill man. You go hang him up and you just like bleed him out, and then the next guy moves over, you have the inspector that comes in. But the butcher just cuts. He doesn't do the shoot. Well, maybe some of us do more, but you know what I mean, right? So to what point will we have maximum butchers, or in this case, a certified? Because I've seen a lot of them come on, even if you go to Foodland or the small mom and pop stores, is we usually buy the cuts and we import the cuts from the mainland, whether it be hogs, cattle, because most of us ship our cattle out in containers to go to the feedlot, unless we're doing grass fed. So how much butchers we need?
I can do my best to get back to you about that, but off the top of my head, I know that, for example, Hawaii Meats, I was able to do a tour of their facility in Kapolei, Campbell, and they use technology right now to, knock the for example, knocking out the cow before it goes to slaughter. All of those things somewhat have become automated to an extent. So incorporating automation into that is important to determine how much butchers are going to need at the end of the day, because if there's a mixture of public and private folks that are going to be contributing to building up this workforce, that I think is going to have to be in collaboration.
So I think that'll be important for us to know, because as we start to build out the portable, I think, slaughterhouses, the portable slaughterhouses, again, is for the kill, to go into that, to bring them back to the main slaughterhouse before we start butchering, right?
Right.
Because you got to inspect, especially if, Nicole talked about access deer. I know that we shoot it and then we take it in, or the mobile slaughterhouse is there. He inspects it, it goes in, and then it comes into the slaughterhouse. So again, how many butchers we're gonna need? Sorry, I noticed your resume, but you give me the glaring look. But I think that's the challenge for me.
Okay.
Because most of us have been trained to butcher things as, they come online, or if, the interest is there, yeah.
For sure. And like I said, we're going to be working with the USDA food safety folks to try to, again, increase our capabilities so that we can do better market research and things of that nature to know how to best serve the ag industry.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair, just one thing quick. Just to address Senator DeCoite, we're actually talking about two distinct things, not the slaughter process itself, but then taking the cuts and refining them down to the portions that we're talking. And that's where the science comes into the butchery. But anyway, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to raise concerns that I have, and it's not about the industry. I certainly support the industry and understand how important this is. My concern is that, we try so hard to put everything into, you got to go to college, you got to get a degree. And so the people that aren't, and if they want to get into butchery and everything, all of a sudden, we're going to keep them out. If they don't have a high school degree and they end up getting trained and learning how to do this, they can do it. But once we start a pathway and, oh, you have to have this experience, that experience, you really cut out the guys who learn to do this and want to do it, may necessarily start out with a plan, oh, I want to go into meat processing, or I want to become a butcher. And so we can make excuses or reasons for why everybody should get a degree. I think a certificate perhaps, but the other area I'm concerned about is we keep asking the education to find a pathway for this, find a pathway for that, find a pathway. There are so many different pathways. We cannot be everything to everybody. So, I raise that concern at this point as to, is this really a need at this point? I don't see people clamoring that we need to get a pathway to get into this field. We don't even have FDA, what is that, a meat inspection, USDA inspection at this point. We can't even get numbers as to what's the workforce? What's the shortage? Where's the demand? So at this point, I have serious concerns on this.
I have a quick comment. Just from listening to this conversation, I'm not certain, whether a degree is needed or not. And I think this working group would maybe help get us there and to understand better. So I'm not opposed to the resolution, but I do see why there's some, not confusion, but misunderstanding or not understanding the whole process and the need for this. Thank you.
For me, only because I got to visit a few of them, and the one in Campbell, they do use people right off the street, willing to do the work, willing to learn, and there's a process. If you guys ever get a chance to go, you guys should. Very clean, very automated. How they do the skinning and everything is just high tech. But when I went inside the processing area, we get people that just coming out from incarceration or whatever it is and want a life to make a good paying job. But if we do something like this, which I think is a great idea, yeah, in a certain extent, but I think it might end up hurting the industry too by limiting them. So another one is right out of high school, my classmate, Foodland, was hiring. He went in there as a clerk. Later on, they went into different positions, and now they're in meat cutting. But if we're going to do all of these things, and then the person not going to be able to go, but they need a certain type of pathway, then we're going to hinder the ones that is eager to work. And this is not a glamorous field. You guys, when you guys see that, you guys going to see how much blood that has when you're doing this. But it's an art. It's an art to the craft and to the people that cut it up into oxtails, to whatever kind of meat you need. It's an art. And by hindering that, by doing something like this, I think we might hinder the growth of them being willing to come off the street and getting their hands literally dirty and moving. So I kind of get mixed feelings on this until.
Just a quick response, Chair. I think what I'm getting from my colleagues is that this is the way that we need to, and it's not. The idea is to offer a pathway for people to get an education, but it's very important if you have someone that will train, like Senator Favela just talked about, coming out, fresh out of high school, whatever, this is just offers a pathway. It's a vocational training, essentially, is what it is. It's not about you need this degree before you can go forth. It's nothing about that. That's not the intent. This is just to offer an education.
But
Thank you, Chair.
if it's, to me, the way this reads is that it's within the university. So if it's within the university, then to me, it means higher education. And I guess that's where I was confused, is that necessary to have a higher education degree if
And
they're
it's
having a
not.
hard time finding people, and if they can train students out of high school.
No, that's where I think, from my perspective, the idea is to offer through, which our University of Hawaii, it's a land-grant school, that they offer a pathway, but it's not something that's needed to embrace the profession. It's just to offer a way to go through it. And maybe it shouldn't say the university. It should just be offer a pathway, whatever the case may be.
Oh, it says the community college system.
Community college system, yeah.
And it's a working group
Yeah.
to come up with the plan.
We start off with a plan like this and eventually people get cut out. We see that all the time. Then they want them to have a license. Then you go through DCCA. They're only going to allow certain, they keep people out of the profession. At this point, I don't see why, if the university feels it's needed, that they can go ahead and do one. Why we have to
No,
put
it's the
together some
industry.
kind of working group?
It's the industry looking for more butchers coming in. And it's not just the slaughter industry, it's the, like I said, hotel, restaurant as well.
Okay. So, Chair, do you want to just go into decision-making now?
Sure.
We'll go into decision-making. So the chair, the recommendation is to pass SCR 89 and SR 72 as is. Any discussion? For AEN, chair votes aye. Vice chair.
On the SR 72, SCR 89, passing unamended, chair votes aye, vice chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Reservations.
Reservations, Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Alwa? Here. Chair, you have 4 in favor.
Thank you, members.
For HRE, recommendation is to not pass this. So chair votes no.
With reservations.
No.
Okay, measure does not pass. 2 noes, 1 aye, or 1 reservation does not pass.
Okay, so, what? Yeah. Yeah, so the measure is deferred, and that adjourns the hearing.